the moment Emily Carter unclasped the necklace. Her breath stopped not because of the memory, but because someone was standing behind her. The mirror caught it first, a tall shape still, too real to be a thought. Her heart jumped, loud in her ears, as the bathroom light hummed above her small Seattle apartment. This was not fear. It was something sharper, something that reached back into a past she believed was sealed shut. She didn't turn right away. Emily stared at her own reflection, the silver chain resting in her open palm, the blue stone glowing softly under the light. For 3 years, the necklace had been the one thing she never removed. Not for work, not for sleep, not even when she told herself she had moved on. Tonight, she finally took it off. Tonight, she told herself it was time, and now someone was behind her. She swallowed and slowly raised her eyes. The face in the mirror made her chest tighten. Daniel Brooks stood there, close enough to feel, far enough to hurt. The room seemed to shrink. The air felt thick, like it used to during long talks that carried too much meaning. Daniel looked older than she remembered. His hair was shorter, his face more serious. But his eyes, those steady, careful eyes, were the same. Emily turned around. Daniel. The word escaped her before she could stop it. "I'm sorry," he said softly. "I knocked. I didn't mean to scare you." She nodded, though her body hadn't caught up to the moment. Her fingers closed around the necklace without thinking. Her mind raced through 1,000 questions, none of which made it to her lips. He looked at the sink, at the chain, at the stone. "I didn't know you still had it," he said. Emily let out a slow breath. "I didn't know you'd ever stand in this apartment." Silence fell, heavy, but not awkward. It carried history. Long drives, quiet laughter, words they never said when it mattered. 3 years earlier, they had stood under gray skies in Vancouver, promising to make distance work. They were sure love could stretch across cities and schedules. Daniel had given her the necklace that night in a small cafe near the water. The rain tapped the windows. His hands shook as he clasped it around her neck. "So you don't forget me," he said with a smile that tried to hide fear. She promised she wouldn't. She kept that promise. But life didn't wait. Emily took a job in Seattle. Daniel stayed behind, chasing a career that needed him there. Calls became short. Messages became delayed. Silence slowly replaced effort. The last conversation ended without closure, both of them pretending they were fine. They weren't. Now he was here. Daniel shifted his weight, like he didn't know where to stand in her life anymore. "I saw your light on," he said. "I just needed to know you were okay." Emily studied him. He didn't look like someone who came to make demands. He looked like someone who carried regret carefully, like glass. "I'm moving," she said, the words coming out firm. "Chicago. Next month." "I know," he replied. That surprised her. "I didn't come to change your plans," he added quickly. "I just wanted to see you." "Before you left," Emily's grip loosened around the necklace. The truth settled between them. Timing had always been their enemy. She leaned against the counter, steadying herself. "I was taking it off," she said, nodding at the chain, trying to finally let go. Daniel nodded once. "I figured." He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out something small, a blue stone matching hers. Just the charm. No chain. "I kept mine," he said. "Didn't know how to stop." Her chest ached, but she didn't cry. This wasn't a moment for tears. It was a moment for honesty. They stood there, close but careful, like two people relearning the shape of each other. Emily could hear the city outside, distant traffic, a train horn far away. Life moving on, whether they were ready or not. "I used to think if I stayed busy, the feeling would fade," Daniel said. It didn't. Emily met his eyes. "I tried new routines, new plans, new reasons to forget. Did it work?" She shook her head. "Not really." The truth sat plainly between them, simple and heavy. Daniel took a small step closer, stopping before crossing the line. "I'm not here to ask you to stay," he said. "I just didn't want to disappear without saying what I should have said back then." Emily straightened. which is that leaving wasn't easy, he said. That choosing distance didn't mean choosing less love. It just meant I was scared. She closed her eyes for a moment. The words hit deeper than she expected. I was scared too, she admitted, but I didn't know how to say it without sounding weak. Daniel smiled gently. You never sounded weak. Emily opened her eyes and looked at the necklace again. It had never been about holding on to him. It had been about holding on to who she was when she loved without fear. She picked it up and held it between them. This doesn't mean what it used to, she said quietly, but it still means something. Daniel nodded. That's enough. They stood there, no promises made, no past rewritten. Just two people finally seeing each other clearly without distance or noise in the way. Emily didn't put the necklace back on yet. She held it, feeling its weight, knowing the night had already changed something inside her. And as Daniel watched her, silent and hopeful, one truth became clear. Some endings don't arrive with goodbyes. They arrive with someone standing behind you right when you think you're ready to move on. Emily didn't expect the night to turn into a crossroads. But the moment Daniel stepped into her apartment, she felt like she was standing at the edge of a cliff. She had already taken the necklace off, and now she held it between her fingers, watching him like he might disappear if she blinked. He didn't move closer, not yet. Instead, he stood quietly, like someone who had spent years rehearsing this moment in his mind. I'm not here to mess up your life, Daniel said, his voice calm but heavy. I just needed to see you before you leave. Emily's heart pounded. She had rehearsed what she would say if he ever came back, but nothing matched the feeling of him being real again. You already messed it up, she replied, and then regretted the sharpness. She didn't mean to blame him. She meant to protect herself. Daniel's eyes softened. I know. I'm sorry. Emily turned away, staring at the sink where the necklace rested. The blue stone caught the light, shining like a memory that refused to fade. She could feel the old pain. But she also felt something else, something she didn't want to admit. Relief. Not because she wanted him back, but because the silence had finally been broken. She looked back at him. You said you weren't here to ask me to stay. So why are you here? Daniel took a slow breath. Because I've been thinking about you for 3 years. And I hate that I never told you what I felt. Emily's throat tightened. What did you feel? He stepped forward, but stopped again, careful. That I left too soon. That I chose my fear over us. And I've regretted it every day. Emily's eyes stung, but she didn't cry. Not yet. She had always thought tears were a sign of weakness. Now she realized they were a sign that something mattered. I've moved on, she said, but her voice didn't sound sure. I have a new job, a new life. Daniel nodded. I know. That's why I'm not asking you to go back. I'm just hoping you'll let me be honest. Emily swallowed. She could feel her mind racing. Chicago. New job. Fresh start. The life she had built without him. It was all still there, waiting. But there was also the memory of their love real intense and painfully sweet. The kind that doesn't disappear just because time passes. Daniel reached into his pocket again and pulled out a small object. The matching blue charm. He held it out like a gift, like a piece of his heart. I kept mine, he said quietly. I didn't know how to let it go. Emily stared at the charm. She could feel tears threatening again, but she held them back. The gesture wasn't about winning her back. It was about showing he still cared. It was about proof that he hadn't forgotten. She took a step closer. Not to embrace him. Not to forgive him. Just to see him clearly. Why now? She asked. Daniel's voice dropped. Because I saw you on social media. I saw your photos. I saw your smile. And I realized that if I didn't try now, I never would. Emily felt something inside her shift. It wasn't love. It was the truth of what she had been missing. The truth of a man who still mattered to her even after all this time. She held the necklace between her fingers and looked at him. You really think you can just walk back into my life? Daniel didn't flinch. I'm not asking for permission. I'm asking for a chance to be honest. Emily's heart raced. She thought of all the nights she cried herself to sleep, thinking about what could have been. She thought of the times she told herself she was fine, when she wasn't. She thought of the moment she finally took the necklace off. And she realized that taking it off didn't end the story. It just made room for the next part. She looked at Daniel and made a decision. Not a big one. Not a final one. Just a step. "I'm not going to pretend I'm not affected," she said. "But I'm not going to let this ruin my future." Daniel nodded. "I don't want to ruin anything. I just want to be honest about what I did." Emily held the necklace up. "Then be honest." Daniel's eyes softened and he stepped closer this time. The distance between them disappeared. Not fully, but enough that she could feel the warmth of him. She didn't move away. "I loved you," he said. "I still do. And I'm sorry I left." Emily's breath caught. The words hit her like a wave, strong and sudden. "I loved you too," she admitted, voice low. "And I hated that I still do." Daniel's face showed relief and pain at the same time. "Then we're both still here." Emily looked down at the necklace. She thought about putting it back on. She thought about the new life waiting for her in Chicago. She thought about how hard it would be to walk away again. But then she did something she never expected. She placed the necklace around her neck again. Not because she was trapped, not because she was giving up, but because she finally felt ready to face the truth. Daniel watched her carefully, as if afraid she would change her mind. Emily held his gaze. "I'm not saying this means we're back together," she said. "I'm just saying I'm not closing the door either." Daniel nodded slowly. "That's all I'm asking." Emily took a deep breath. The room felt lighter, but her heart was still heavy. She had spent so long pretending she didn't need him that the idea of letting him in again felt risky. But she also realized that love was always risky. She moved closer, just a bit. And for the first time in years, she let herself believe that maybe the story wasn't over. Daniel reached out and gently touched the necklace. His fingers hovered above it, careful, like he was afraid to break the moment. "Do you still want to go?" he asked. Emily looked at him. She saw the honesty in his eyes. She saw the hope. She saw the man she had once believed in. "I do," she said. "But I also want to know what happens if I don't." Daniel's voice was quiet. "Then we'll find out." The silence that followed was not empty. It was full of possibility. Emily finally let her guard down, just enough to let him see her. She didn't know what the future held. She didn't know if they would end up together. She didn't know if she would leave for Chicago and never look back. But she knew one thing. For the first time in years, she felt like she was living in the moment instead of running from it. And when Daniel stood there beside her, she realized that sometimes the hardest part of moving on isn't letting go. It's learning to love again slowly, carefully, and honestly. The night ended without a dramatic goodbye. No dramatic promises. No big declarations. Just two people standing in a quiet apartment, holding the truth between them. Emily looked at Daniel one last time. Then she turned off the bathroom light and walked out into a future that suddenly felt full of more than one possibility.